Hi, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Rene, and welcome to ZEN TECH, our lifestyle podcast where we try to help you center your inner geek and de-stress your connected life. How are you doing, Georgia?
I'm good. We're doing this a little differently.
This is really odd because we've gotten together to do a show about breaking up.
Well, it's okay because I'm leaving.
Oh, okay. No, seriously, we got a lot of requests for this. We did a couple shows on relationships, and people wrote in, and they're like, oh, that's great, but I am currently devastated because that relationship thing is a not now.
Exactly. It's so much easier to deal with being in a relationship than it is to deal with the horror and
formerly being in a relationship.
of being broken up with or having to break up with someone else.
But it's a reality of life, right? Like, I don't want to be a cliche, but with love comes loss. I mean, you open yourself up, you leave yourself vulnerable.
Right. It's one of those hardships that everyone will probably go through, and how to deal with it and how to handle it so that you can leave as unscathed as possible.
You can minimize your damage.
Right.
So let's start at the very beginning. If you are going to break up with someone and you're a semi-decent human being, what are some of the best ways to do it?
I love these semi-human.
Well, no, because some people don't care. Like, some people are all about themselves. They're core narcissists. The impact they have on other people
Why are you dating that person in the first place? Is
issues,
the question.
but that's
you
a separate,
want them to break up with you.
Separate show.
That's a good thing.
If you are someone with empathy, someone with base humanity, and it's just for whatever reason it's not working out, how do you end it as gracefully? You know, understanding that there will be consequences, but how do you end it as gracefully as possible?
Well, you get your phone and you send a text.
No,
you do not do that. Please don't do that. I know that it might be easier to send it through an email or text or even on the phone. These are one of the things that you should allow your former partner to get the most closure as possible. So you would want to let them know that, let's meet. Try not to do this over dinner. Because people often do it at dinner, and then you have that
They
awkward...
think you won't make a fuss in public, is why they do it that way.
Well, it's not even a fuss in public, is that if at the beginning of dinner you break up with someone, what happens with the rest of dinner?
Oh, so you're saying do it at the end. Wait for the dessert course.
I'm not even kidding. Yes, don't do it. Don't make a dinner. Have coffee, something small to eat, because the person is going to want to leave, or you're going to want to give them the space to leave. And it is probably best not to do this in a public setting in the first place. If you are really worried about them, harming you, you shouldn't be dating with them in the first place. But you want to do it where the person, if they're really upset or really worried after, is going to be able to deal with that in a private setting. It's awkward for the waiters, the waitresses, and everyone else involved. So please don't do it in that manner.
So is there any, again, to go back to the cliches, there's all the, it's not you, it's me, I'm not ready for this, some things, like there's all the things that people try to say to minimize the impact. Do any of those really work?
It's better than saying you're a horrible person and that's why I'm breaking up with you. I think that I
got a better offer, I'll see.
I think that you should always remain classy and let everyone leave with their egos as much intact as possible through a breakup. But you also want to give them time and space to be able to ask any questions, to find out why, to see what's happening with them. People do sometimes just grow apart, and that is okay. But if one of you is growing apart and the other one is not, it's really hard on that other person.
So do you have to give a reason, and does it have to be honest?
Does it have to be honest? You might not want to be, if you cannot stand them completely as a person, I think that would be just cruel. There's no reason to be cruel to someone else that you're breaking up with. I think that you can do this in a classy way. You might want to not give every single nitty-gritty detail about how they annoy you, but to say that you're moving on, or to say that this is the way that I feel, or that I have not been happy and these are the things that we're dealing with, and then to discuss, are you going to go through couples counseling first, or is this one of those things that you really just want to move on? I think that if you're in a long-term relationship, I think that, dealing with counseling or even giving them the opportunity to change anything and to you also to work on the things that you're dealing with is fair.
So, is that hope or is that false hope? Like, if you give them a list, you kind of open the door from say, okay, well, if I fix A, B, and C, or if we go to counseling, like you offer them hope at the end of that road.
Well, what you want to do is, while you're noticing problems, instead of being avoidant, talk about them during the relationship so you can both work on them. I think that a lot of people wait because they're hoping that things will magically get better. Often this is more women than men. They think that men will be naturally intuitive and read that they're upset. Men will not. They will not.
We feel like you change us just until the point where you're no longer happy with us.
Right, and this is a little bit of a statistical analysis. There are some women that are less sensitive to other people as well. So this could be the other way around in the relationship, but you cannot expect your partner to be a mind reader. They are not. So speak to them when you have a problem, and then hopefully you won't get to this point in the first place.
All right, but if it is real, if it is really for real and you're breaking up, you should just break up, right? You shouldn't give them false hope.
No, you don't want to give them false hope. If you think that this is fixable, then great, and be honest about that. But if you are sure that this is done, you should make the break as clean and as simple as possible.
All right, so then let's switch chairs. If you're not the one doing the breakup, and you're the one you're having coffee, you think it's just a regular, normal day, you have the fantasies of your life
I'm
together.
feeling stress and pain.
I know, and then all of a sudden, it's not working out, blah, blah, blah. It starts happening right away, like the stomach starts to fall out. Maybe you see their mouth moving like a Charlie Brown cartoon, but you don't hear the words anymore. How do you start? That's like instant...
Panic attack.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible experience. Hopefully they have given you some hints so that you know about this beforehand. If they have not, what you want to do is keep yourself composed and calm and ask them why. Is there anything that we can do about it? What do you think the reasons for this are? And how do we want to go forward from here on out?
So, I mean, these are one of those things where I think that you can hear about good strategies, you can even have a plan, maybe you can even role play them, but it's hard to know what's going to happen until it happens to you, and it can vary each time because your relationship is different each time.
And you're never going to really know how you're going to handle it when you're in these type of situations. You want to make sure that you're dealing with this as classily as possible on both parts. They're two real people, and you used to have a nice, calm, happy relationship with each other. So try to think of that even when you're dealing with a breakup.
So, should you, if someone says it, should you immediately accept it? Should you think it's something, like, should you take it as a challenge, I'm going to fight for this relationship? Should you see it as, should you just lose your mind and say, no, fine, I'm dumping you first? I mean, what are your strategies here?
It depends on what your end goal is, but the cool part is that the strategy is almost exactly the same for both. You should be classy and honest with both situations, and you should give both partners a little bit of space just to see how they're feeling about it. So that means that if you're dealing with a breakup and someone has broken up with you, in the days following that, you go through all of the regular stages of loss. So you go through the denial, the bargaining, the sorrow, everything else. And what you want to do is time will seem like a minute will seem like an hour.
It'll stop. Time will stop.
It almost feels like time will stop.
You'll be sitting there in your PJs eating Haagen-Dazs for it'll seem like days, but it'll be like half a minute.
Exactly. And if you are the person that broke up with someone, you'll be dealing with the guilt and horror. If you're, depending on the type of personality you are, yes, the horrible person might be like, just woohoo, party.
So how do you know, if someone is breaking up with you, how do you know when you can reconcile it or when you have to just accept that it's over?
It depends on the other person. Hopefully you can be straight with them, and if they are honest with you, and that's what you want to do, is you want to be really honest. If there is no chance and you've just moved into two different people, you want to be able to give your partner that straight break of, this is who I am.
But you may not care what they say. It could be like, no, this is, because there's some people who are strong and independent, and their relationship makes them stronger, and there's some people who end up basing themselves on their relationship, and they feel like it's their entire foundation. When they lose it, there is that panic, and that I'm nothing without you.
Well, that kind of goes into personality types and who you are, which you should already know. And what if you have an attachment issue of being anxiously attached, and you have to just grip hold of head, and there's no way that I'm going to let go of someone. You want to know that you can still be a solid person on your own without them. But you may also have it might be a very long relationship, and you're very attached to them. And in that, the other partner should be very clear with you, so that if it is something that you have to repair from, you can deal with the breakup and then move on with your life from there. If it's something that there's a very complex relationship and you think that there's other things going on and you can deal with that, then the person can say, I just need maybe some time. Let's talk about it. Let's work on it. This is the thing that isn't working for me, and this isn't the thing for working for you. But you want to be clear on which side of the fence so the other person can start healing as quickly as possible.
So I guess we might have wanted to mention this earlier, but it just occurred to me, it's probably also different on the length and intensity of the relationship. Like after 3 dates, the person's like, yeah, I really don't like this, it's not working out for me, let's not continue this, rather than if it's been 3 years of cohabitation, there's going to be a lot more to the relationship.
There's a whole bunch of different relationship types. So if you've had some relationships, even though they're very short in time, they're very intense in feeling, and we end up with this almost addiction-like relationship with some people, especially if the relationship's been kind of off and on, even if you don't like them, if they've kind of thrown you away and then taken you back and thrown you away, and this has happened in a short succession and often, you can end up with the off and on switch, almost the same thing as playing a slot machine. If you're never sure which way that you're going to react to get that cookie of saying, hi, how are you doing? I really like you. And then the next time they're pushing you away. So even if it's a very short relationship, you can end up with a very intense feeling towards them. And those relationships are the most difficult for breakups because, you've said no to me 6 times, but on the 7th, you're like, you know what, come on over and let's chat. And then that sends the person's dopamine system into overdrive. So it's often the feeling between the relationship. It's not linked always to time.
So the intensity is important, though, because if it is just those 3 dates, you've met for coffee, whatever, and you want to pursue the relationship, that's one thing. There's very little entanglement there. But if you've been dating for a long time, especially if you've been cohabitating, maybe you have a dog together, there could be a whole bunch of things that sort of bind you together even when the relationship is breaking apart.
And that becomes a little bit difficult, for sure. But let's go through how to deal with that anyways, because that time being infinite is really, really hard.
Okay.
And how do you kind of deal with your time to manage that? So let's go through some of the different things that we can do to make it a little bit easier if this is a breakup, if it is for sure, if your partner is already moving on, suddenly they've got the U-Haul,
they got the U-Haul packed and there's someone else driving it.
Is there. It's just the amount of trauma that this causes, and I think that that's really important.
Their stuff was moved out while you were having coffee.
Yeah, exactly. They planned this already. It's that it's just such a horrible, horrible feeling to that. And the level of stress that you go through from a breakup, it's, I think, number 4 on the stress list of how stressful it is. I think it's underneath divorce, so if you were married and you have children, and we'll deal with that on a separate show. But we'll just deal with kind of girlfriend, boyfriend breaking up, or short-term marriages maybe breaking up, where we don't have to deal with the children involved. Then there is terminal illness of a loved one and yourself losing a job, and then, dealing with a, short-term relationship breakup. It's right up there.
So are we talking now the moments after it happened, or are we the next day? Like, when does it start sinking in, or does that vary too?
Everyone's different, men and women, and depending on our attachment types, we all deal with it a little bit differently, but the way that we can heal from it is almost exactly the same, but you want to really listen to what works for you. Time is going to seem like it takes forever, and you deserve that time to mourn, to cry, to share, to talk to people. What you don't want to do, and let's talk a little bit about technology, is you don't want to send a whole bunch of hateful, angry, you don't want to spread all kinds of intimate videos to all of your partner's male friends, Twitter accounts.
So you don't want to rage, you don't want to beg, and you don't want to attack.
You really don't.
Or get vengeance.
If you're not sure, you cannot control yourself, do nothing. Because you will regret it in the end, and it will make you look bad. Again, you want to remember, stay classy with it.
The typical pattern is a bunch of angry tweets followed by a bunch of I'm sorry tweets, followed by a bunch of, take me back, sorry, not tweets, but text, followed by a bunch of take me back texts, followed by a bunch of I'm going to get you. It's an incredible roller coaster.
Right, and if you can control yourself and you can send just this is really hard for me, and you can discuss that, that's fine. But really what you want to do is to just give a little bit of a break of time. Let your feelings settle, because the chances that you're going to do, don't do anything malicious to the person, even if you're really angry or upset at them. It's documentation that you're feeling that way. 2, it's embarrassing for both of you, and in some cases it may even be criminal, so you don't want to do that. Stay away from social media during a breakup.
So both for the person who does the breakup and the person who's broken up with, is it better to stay communicating? Is it better to just cut it off cold turkey?
You want to cut it off cold turkey. And this is not talking about a marriage. There's a little bit of a difference in between that. But if it's just a dating partners, you want to just cut.
So if you get all those texts, you should just ignore them.
You should leave it. You don't want to send them.
Yeah.
And the other person, if you're the one that broke up with someone else, you don't want to say,
or either way, like
hey,
you might
how
be
are you
guilty about
doing?
breaking up and saying, "Oh, are you okay? Are you dealing with this okay?"
Yeah, because every time you're re-traumatizing, giving hope to the other person, and that's really hard on them. So try to give them a little bit of a clean break.
So even if I've been broken up with and they're sending me tweets to check up on me, I should not answer them either.
No, you should just take your phone and just text whatever it might be, email, just like hide it, let
your
battery
friend
go
passcode
dead.
lock it for you.
Yes, exactly, and just give yourself a little bit of a break, and let yourself more. Now, if it's gonna be you're gonna get together in order to deal with how you settle things, I would say just wait until you're a little bit more healed before you deal with that, because it's very traumatic.
Do you unfollow them on Twitter? Do you unfriend them on Facebook? If you're still rocking the MySpace, do you finally close that page down, please?
Close the page down, no matter what.
Do you delete their contact from your phone so it's harder for you to contact them? Because I don't remember phone numbers anymore. If there's no contact there, I can't text anybody. I mean, do you start disconnecting yourself as much as possible?
I would wait a couple of days before you actually disconnect anything, but then disconnect after. It's just too hard, and odds are is you don't want to be the person that's going to be Facebook stalking them, reading all kinds of old emails, starting to snoop through all of their mail and everything else. It's just going to re-traumatize you. You don't need to do that. You want to remember that even the good times in the relationship, but often what happens is that we look back and we romanticize the relationship as being all kinds of sweet and honey, whereas it wasn't. So just give yourself a little break. Don't look back through all of the letters and the pictures and all the vacations you shared.
Do you get rid of those pictures? Do you dump pictures? Do you just
Again, wait.
things?
There might be something that's really important to you, and you might over-dump. Or you might start, you don't want to rummage through it right away, because that's going to re-traumatize you, and you're going to be looking through all of these happy memories.
Person. I mean, we went through all this stuff, and they now telling me I'm not.
Right. What you want to do instead of that, so staying away from social media, is keep yourself really busy. Keep yourself with people that are uplifting and upbeat, so not someone else that's going through also a separation, so you both vent and
misery does not love company.
It's not good for you.
No.
It's not good. It might feel good, and if that works for you, great. But you want someone that's going to make you feel better, that's going to keep you uplifted, that's not going to over-mull in it, so that you can keep on moving on.
Do you want your swinging as single friends so you can hit the bars immediately? Do you want friends who are in stable relationships so they have time and energy to be there for you?
Hit the gym.
What is the usual Reddit thing? Do your leg workouts, lawyer up. What you want to do is you want to do things that you enjoy. So if you enjoy going to the movies, go to movies. You want something that's going to keep your mind busy. That will let your neurons that have been firing and in so much pain heal a little bit faster than if not. If you're playing a video game that you really love, that's great. Or reading a book, not a book that's dealing with a breakup.
Not a telenovela.
Right, listening to comedy, laughing, going to a bar. The problem with that, which is fine if it works for you, is that are you going to get overly drunk and do something that's going to embarrass you, or hook up with someone, I was going to say something.
It's fair enough at a bar.
Someone that you would not want to hook up with, or that you might do something that you will regret later. So just be careful with the over drinking. A little bit of drinking sometimes happens, but you do still want to deal with things in moderation.
So does time make it better?
Yes, unfortunately, that is the motto. There's nothing really that you can say to someone that they've been broken up with that really makes them feel better. It's one of those situations where it's horrible all the way around. Sympathetic voices are nice, but people that will keep your mind off of it are even nicer. For most people, that's what they're going to enjoy. And they can
trash your ex to you so that when you finally get back together with them, you can hold it against them.
Well, that's a really great point. The chances of you getting back together, and especially if you give the other person space, are relatively good if you are both honest and you can deal with whatever the issues are. That does happen quite a lot, especially if there's feelings on both sides, and there's lots of
not if they moved
reasons.
across the country and got remarried instantly. I mean,
that's probably you should you should deal with it. But you shouldn't trash this person to your friends and family, because they will then hate them, and if you get back together, they will remember all those horrible things you have said about them, and they'll hold it against them forever. And this is especially true for parents. They have a tigersome, fierce, protective nature with you, and so you don't want to trash them to your family members. You get back together, and they're never going to accept it.
Can't believe you're dating that girl who killed your gerbil again. Can't believe it.
Exactly. They'll remember it forever. You guys get back together, and they will not be dealing with that.
All right, so what is a reasonable amount of time before, like if you don't want to hit the bar immediately, if you know that's not in your best interest, what's a reasonable, I don't want to call it a mourning period, but it's kind of a mourning period. What's a reasonable amount of time before you start to, get back on that dating horse and ride it?
Well, you want to start, the dating, that's different for everyone. You want to heal, and you want to not bring back up old issues with that person. So a lot of ways that you can kind of deal with all those ill feelings is creatively. You can write, you could expressively do painting or videos or laugh or deal with that. You want to deal with all the hurt before you start dating. Because if you do that poor person that's in the rebound relationship, you're not over the other person, you're not ready, it's going to constantly come up. You're going to date them and you're going to be talking about them constantly. You're going to lose that relationship anyways.
My ex always let me have the cake.
Yeah, there was always this problem when they couldn't do this.
So, but don't you want to find someone who's hotter and financially more successful and then laud them in front of the ex's face?
If that's what you really enjoy, but seriously, you want to date someone that's going to be good to you, that's going to care for you. In the end, money can come and go, and looks all fake.
So there should be no revenge dating either.
You're going to have horrible feelings.
Your long-term well-being will not be
but odds are you want to deal with something that is best for you. And it is nice to work on yourself, so, work on your career. Deal with this time to make yourself, 2.0 version. So it isn't a bad idea to start exercising, to start eating healthier, to start taking care of yourself, to deal with whatever issues you had in the first place so that you will be better off in your next relationship with whomever that may be, but especially with yourself.
Like Vader and the Hulk, you should use your anger to make you more powerful.
That sounds like a great way to use it.
So what happens when, let's say, yes, okay, you unfriend them from Facebook, you just stop following them on Twitter, maybe even block them or whatever. Then you're out one day and you turn around the corner and boom, you're face to face. Or you go to some friends of a friend's house, it's a party or something, turn around, there they are. Like that time when you meet the ex.
Right. You take your cup, what you should do is you should just say hi, how are you doing? And then you want to escape from there as quickly as possible. You don't want to engage, you don't want to ask them 100,000
You want to prove to them what a mistake they made by dumping you?
You probably do. I can understand that feeling completely and all of the other dark feelings that go with it, but you want to be classy, you want it to be quick and easy, and you want to go on with your day.
All right, so what happens if that's a regular thing, like you still have friends in the same circles, or maybe you were dating someone on the job and you still see them at work?
That is the reason that you should not date someone that you work with, because that's the entire thing.
And that sounds all well and good, but it happened, okay, Georgia, now I got to deal with it.
Right. You want to try to change as much, you want to make the opportunity of meeting them as little as possible. So this is your boss, this is a horrible situation, it's really difficult, really painful.
Or the person on the other side of that, not high enough suddenly divider.
Yeah, that's a horrible situation. If you can move even locations so that you can make it less often, you want to.
If they broke up with me, why don't they move?
Because it's you that's going to be going through the trauma. And yes, if they can move as well, it's good for them. But either way, you're going to be hurt about it. So that's why the usual saying of you shouldn't poop where you eat. You should not try to have a relationship that's going to be, maybe it's going to break up.
Well, so let's say it's not work, but it's just like you're moving similar, your friends are similar. Like 90210 when they all dated each other.
Well, they were lucky. They could just do that, and no one was upset about
television, but in real life,
it was easy.
Or it's a friend of your sister's, or
you want to keep a little bit of separation from now and then. And when you feel like you are up to it,
should you ask is Bob or is Susie going to be there before you agree to go?
I think that's a fair question. You can ask. You can also let them, if you have a civil relationship, you can ask them, is it okay? How would you feel if I'm coming? And kind of deal with it in that way. If you're still in any way civil to each other, but you want to keep it separate as much as possible.
Do you divvy up, if you have mutual friends, do you divvy them up? Like you get Frank and I get, Debbie or something?
No, you should try to, I believe that you should just share friends and deal with it that way if that's possible, but you don't want to you don't want to put anyone in the middle. It's not fair for them, so you don't want to do a polarizing how horrible they were.
Whose side are you on? You're not with me, you're against me.
And now I'm going to choose. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. And you should be able to allow people to be kind and civil to each other as well.
As much as you think a real friend wouldn't support someone who dumped you, a real friend wouldn't ask them to unfriend somebody at the same time.
It's not right. It's not fair. And you shouldn't do that to other people around you, though you may want to. And if it is your best friend, that might be a different story if they aren't friends with the other person. But if they are, it's a different story altogether.
All right, so a little bit of time has passed, and you said you don't want to deal with photographs and stuff like that. But inevitably, whether you live together or not, you often have each other's stuff. And there's that awkward moment when either you want to get it out or they need something back.
Let's go through that. Really easy. You grab a box. You put everything that is theirs into a box. You call a neutral second party to bring it to them. You don't want to come face to face if you don't have to. You take everything that then is yours, that reminds you of them, put it in another box, and either throw it out or bring it to the Salvation Army. And that's when you can go through it and make sure that if it is your great Aunt Thelma is in the picture as well, and you want to keep it because of her, you can do the little cutout thing and just keep Aunt Thelma.
Well, that's a good question. So things that you bought, or things that are sentimental value to both of you, things that you bought together, things that mean a lot, or maybe that have contested ownership.
I think that you should just share, try to be fair about it. And it's strange to me, I think that a lot of people would have a really hard time with that and are going to try to get as much out of the relationship as possible. If you bought something together, you should just give them half of whatever it is that you put into it.
If it's a stereo, whoever likes music the best should take it. If it's a Barco lounge, whoever sits down the most should take it.
It seems like it would be, it should be so simple as that, but often it isn't. You might need to deal with arbitration. In the end, whoever is keeping the apartment usually deals with it. You want to divvy it up as honestly as possible, and unfortunately, you might have to end up going to litigation if it's something that's really
try and get a mutual friend to help you out, otherwise it's Judge Judy.
Judge Judy.
All
and
right.
She'll make sure, so keep the receipts.
So sort of to wrap it up, and I know you said there's no fixed time, but how do you start approaching dating again? How do you you've been hurt badly, how do you open yourself up again to potentially be hurt the same way again?
Well, the risk is always there, but it's wonderful when you find someone that you really match with. And it is better to have loved and lost than never to have. I'm being cliche now, aren't I?
Yes.
But I do believe that. So it's worth the risk. What you want to do is if you find yourself in a rut, you need to get out. You cannot wallow forever. You deserve it. There are other people out there that you will match with. There isn't just one person.
No, that was the one.
But go out there and...
My sea has no more fish.
Some great ideas are to join clubs, social circles, activities, something that you're doing that has a lot of the opposite sex involved. So it might be sewing, it might be painting, it might be rock climbing, it might be a mechanics course, and then you can meet other people in a non-dating fashion. There's also some applications that you can go online.
Well, there's all sorts of
ways that you can get back
and there are
involved.
things from like very casual stuff like Tinder to Match.com and eHarmony that try to get long-term relationships.
Right, but joining something that's a club that you actually interact with people is even better. There's also speed dating that you can go to at different clubs, but I love the idea of doing something that you enjoy, say it's photography or rock climbing, and being in a mix with other people where that you get to know each other first, because the problem when you deal with the online dating is everyone has their defenses up. The same thing with going to a club. So it's nice to really meet people, then you can find out if you like someone, become friends with, and then date.
Here's a horrible question. Should you go to a place that has activities that you like, or go to a place that has activities where the person who you think you're going to, like, the kind of people you like?
I say do both.
Okay.
Do both. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I really do like rock climbing.
But maybe you'll change your mind and you really will like rock climbing. I think it's better than just wallowing and staying in it and deciding that you're just going to give up. You have to start climbing back out. And that's what you want to do. So do things that you enjoy. Meet other people that you will enjoy and form other bonds. Maybe they will just be friendships, but there's someone that you get to hang out with, get to talk with, get to share with, and you'll also be learning a new skill that you get to enjoy at the same time.
And if you start to get feelings like, you've been broken up with, now you're a little bit defensive, you start to make, like, how do you, if you feel like you're pushing them away or you're being overly defensive because you're afraid of getting hurt again, how do you start dealing with that?
I love a way that many people won't like, but it's journaling. You journal through your issues, what triggers you, what are your wounds, what are your blocks, and you go through them and you say, why does that hurt me so much? Why is this so hard? And you always, if you feel like yourself being triggered in your new relationship, you want to go back, is this something that is because of my ex? and that's where I should feel it, and I shouldn't be giving it to the next person, because often you will see the next person as the...
You'll fulfill your own prophecy. You'll be forced to break up with that person just to relive the one you just came out of.
Right, and you want to do better when in the next relationship, so you want to deal with your own stuff. So journaling works really well. You can find someone to talk to if that works with it. You can think about it on your own. You can deal with it through art, but you want to be really honest with who you are as a person. What are your good qualities? What are your bad qualities? What do you need to be a better partner to someone else? And we'll go through, I think that's a really important podcast, is how do you become a really good partner to someone else?
So we're going to do that, and we'll also do the one with longer-term, maybe divorce relationships when kids are involved.
When kids might be, or long-term relationships where there's a lot of different things, and it's a lot more difficult, for sure. Well, though, a breakup is always difficult. It's a horrible feeling, so I don't want
to... That's why the word break is in them.
Yes, it keeps on reminding me of that Simpsons episode where they're like, this is where Millhouse's heart breaks, and they kept on rewinding it, and you can just see him going through pain. It's just so horrible. It is just so very horrible, and I smile because of it's just...
But it will get better. I mean, that's the thing you take from all this.
Exactly, it will, and there's other people out there, and keep yourself happy with different things that you can do.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Awesome. Georgia, where can people find out more about you?
You can find me at iMore.com, and of course on Twitter under Georgia_Dell.
You can find me at Rene Ritchie on all the social things, and you can also find me at mobilenations.com. Thank you very much, Georgia. That was awesome.
It was fun.
I hope it helps you guys. Let us know. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions on this, we'll be happy to answer them in a future show, so please don't hesitate. This is really important stuff, and I love that we're doing it.
Yes, and thank you so much for all of the sharing that you do about your own lives and what you're going through right now. It means a lot to us.
Do you no longer do a disclaimer at the beginning?
I have it in text.